for me to welcome you on. I just have to confirm that the recording started. Sorry for that. So it's a great honor, pleasure for me to welcome you on behalf of the University of Ljubljana and also on behalf of the Utopia Alliance to this first part of the UNICA Rector Seminar, Interdisciplinary and Intersectoral Education and Research in Modern Universities. The first part is dedicated to education and the second part on 24th of February to research. The seminar was originally planned for April 2020 as part of our university centenary celebration and as part of the celebration of 400 years of higher education in Slovenia. Due to the well-known COVID circumstances, the seminar was postponed to February this year. And today, of course, I'm glad that we are together, even though we are sitting in different parts of Europe. So, as it is well known, the University of Ljubljana is the oldest, largest, and the most established university in Slovenia. It is a comprehensive, research-oriented university, and we are a member of Utopia Alliance. Considering this, it is clear that we strongly support interdisciplinary and intersectoral education and research. The years 2020 and 2021 were and still are full of challenges. After the first wave of pandemic in spring last year and long preparations during the summer month, we started the new academic year in October with so-called hybrid system. And in a week, we had to switch primarily to online. And after that, we were closed for students for more than 3 months. And only recently, we started with some necessary activities at our faculties like lab practical work and so on. According to today's program, we will have some interesting presentations and hopefully discussions. In the first part, we will talk about interdisciplinary education, primarily what are challenges and opportunities. And in the second part, the subject is education and training in the scientific and technological areas in relation to ethical and legal issues. By way of conclusion, I wish us a successful seminar. I truly hope we will make progress in defining crucial issues of interdisciplinary and intersectoral education. Thank you very much, and back to you, Luciano.
Thank you. So, good morning to everyone. A very warm welcome also from me. I'm Luciano SASO, I'm the president of UNICA. Thank you to Rector PAPIČ for his kind words for the first introduction. It is a great pleasure to be here today. As Rector PAPIČ said, this event was supposed to take place in 2020, but we postponed, unfortunately, due to the COVID pandemics. But we are happy to be again here today. And the new format, 2 webinars instead of 1 meeting in person, I think can also be an interesting approach because we can actually focus in 2 different events. The first one today on education. So the webinar today will be around interdisciplinary and intersectoral education in modern universities. And then exactly in 2 weeks, on the 24th, we will actually speak more from the angle of research. So I think it's really interesting also because we will have some time for reflection on this topic. And this is a UNICA event for maybe some of the people online who do not know UNICA very well. Let me say that UNICA is an important association of universities based in Brussels. At the moment, we have 55 universities in 38 capital cities, and we organize different events related to internationalization, education, research, and many other different topics. So I invite all of you to follow us on the website. We have a new website that was actually improved, I think, in many aspects. So I really invite you to look at the new pages that we created. Also, let me say that this event is also in cooperation with Utopia. Utopia is an important European university coordinated by the University of Ljubljana with another important UNICA member, the Free University of Brussels, the Flemish-speaking university in Brussels, VUB. And so we are also very proud in UNICA to actually work very closely to the new European universities. As you know, after the 2 pilot calls, 41 alliances were created, and actually 17 of them have at least 1 UNICA member. So I'm very proud to say that in UNICA, 36 UNICA universities are participating in this new initiative launched by the European Commission, the European universities. And indeed, I think this is a new development for the higher education area, because we're working in a different way at our universities. Indeed, putting together research, education, and innovation in the new program. I think it's an interesting approach, and we are working, I think, very well in many universities. Let me also thank the other people that contributed to this event. Barbara Novak, Vice Rector of the University of Ljubljana, and Elena Dershek-Stuetz, maybe. Also, we've been in touch for several months to prepare, this program together also with the, of course, UNICA Secretariat, Laura Brossico, Laura Colò, and Vicky Tsonka. Let me thank also very much the chairs of the 2 sessions, Professor BORAS and Professor PAPIČ, and the speakers. I think the titles that they provided us are really interesting, so I'm looking forward to listening to them. Both sessions I think will be very, very relevant. The second one on the ethical and legal issues I think is also very original, because in UNICA recently we did not debate this topic, but I think it's really very important to talk about it and see, how the education is developing in, these scientific and technological areas, taking also into consideration ethical issues. And the first talk will be by my friend Sorin Kostreye, a philosopher. I think I always say we need more philosophers in our events. This is very important, I think, for our, reflections. So again, thank you very much to the University of Ljubljana, Rector PAPIČ, and I wish to all of you a very pleasant and a very fruitful meeting.
Thank you. So can I start now?
Yes, please, Professor BORAS, the floor is yours as the chair of the first session.
First of all, dear ladies and gentlemen, I'm very proud to be offered to chair this session, and I would like to use this opportunity to express my gratitude to the colleagues from UNICA, first primarily to the dear friend President Luciano SASO, and to the also very good friend Igor PAPIČ, Rector of the University of Ljubljana. We are welcome to the UNICA Rector Seminar, Interdisciplinary and Intersectoral Education in Modern University. I always like to attend events organized by the university, but perfectly organized events of the University of Ljubljana, and of course, I'm happy that after a year of waiting in the pandemic crisis, we shall start with this seminar online. We have said many times already that the plethora of responsibilities for university of nowadays is constantly changing and increasing. While we aim to modernize our universities through digitalization, constant improvement of our infrastructures, at the same time, we are working on improving our respective curricula, the way we teach and pass the knowledge to our students. And all this diverse approach we are developing, and through this diverse approach, we will developing appropriate capabilities for our students. Of course, our pandemic circumstances have forced us in different directions, which university have to front in the future until 2030. Focusing on educational, teaching, research and innovation, societal missions to build capacities to contribute to excellent science. Of course, our primary goal is accept of research, very good research, as much as we can afford us, to base on that research as much as we can afford us better education. The interdisciplinary education is an important step towards that goal, and it is why we want to devote today's session to all these topics. I will just tell some experiences from the University of Zagreb, which is very active in e-learning, and also except e-learning, new technologies have been applied to meetings of teachers, management courses, organizational units, management and departments. However, the concept of e-learning backdates to 2007, when the University of Zagreb has adopted the strategy on the subject as an integral part of higher education process. There are other issues in the scope of Erasmus, but I will just tell you that University of Zagreb is a member of universities consortium called Universities in Post-Industrial Cities, UNIC, under the lead of Erasmus University of Rotterdam. It aims to stimulate the mobility of students and staff between the university. And of course, this does not involve students' exchanges and new joint programs, but also a virtual UNIC campus that most important, in which interactive technologies are used for hybrid forms of collaboration between already existing programs. And finally, members of UNIC will not only collaborate amongst each other, but also with 8 cities in which they are situated, but also with all other universities around them and in Europe. That is the most important thing. Therefore, UNIC serves as a perfect example of the interdisciplinarity in education, and hopefully will steer a path for new methodologies and case studies for others to follow. That's all. And I will now pass the floor to my distinguished colleagues and speakers from the University of Ljubljana and Helsinki to share their views on the subject. Firstly, now I give the floor to Urban KORDEŠ from the Faculty of Education of the University of Ljubljana, who will address the subject of intersectorial programs in the framework of boutique projects or the future of European education. Dear Urban, the floor is yours.
Hvala, Professor BORAS. Just give me 1 second to again find my presentation.
Okay.
Just 1 second. I'm almost there. Here we are. Can you see the slides? Okay. So hello, good morning, everybody. Thank you so much for this invitation. These slides makes me think that I am a professional athlete because of all these logos that we have, and these are not all the logos I could put in. So, so I would like to address sort of a framework of what I think we are talking about, a framework of what does it mean to have a intersectorial or interdisciplinary program, education program on the higher education level. This is a homepage of the study program that I sort of represent. I lead the Ljubljana branch of this study, but it goes on at 4 different universities. So it's a joint program and interdisciplinary one. So it's all the complications you can imagine in the modern education. We tackled all of them. So what do we mean by joint? So let me first spell the name of the program. The whole consortium, the joint consortium of 4 Middle European universities is called Middle European Interdisciplinary Master's Program in Cognitive Science. So we want to tackle the study of mind from as many different angles as possible. It's a master's level, obviously, So a joint program, it's a standard Bologna joint format where many universities get together, and then students have to circle around at least 2 or 3 different universities while during their educational period. And at the end, they get diploma that is actually validated from all 4 member universities. What do we mean by interdisciplinary, which is the topic of this this seminar? There are 2 meanings of this word. One meaning is formal. So, as I said, we try to tackle the study of mind, the understanding of mind from as many as possible different areas, different disciplines, different sectors. And the other meaning goes on, especially for University for organization of the study within the University of Ljubljana. And that means that it not only joins 4 universities, but within the University of Ljubljana, we are joining 4 different faculties. So, and within one faculty of arts, 3 different disciplines like psychology, linguistics, and philosophy. So that is also organizational interdisciplinarity. And this is where I will put most of my focus today. Before I start, I would like to say just one word about the start of our program. The program started like 15 years ago. I think it's accredited in our university for more than 10 years now, but it started, the idea of making a joint European cognitive science program started more than 15 years ago. And it was sort of nudged by Professor Mettinger, who was at the time vice rector of the University of Vienna, who actually asked one of his colleagues, Professor Peschel, who was cognitive science, and he was the president of Society of Cognitive Science in Austria, to start thinking about doing the joint degree in this area. And actually the first financing came from UNICA. They found, I think, 2,000 or 3,000 euros through UNICA to gather participants from 5 countries at that time and have first coffees and meetings and ideas how we could do such a program. So I would like to really express my heartfelt thanks to UNICA, because if there was no UNICA, this program would probably never come to light. So this is my thank, and the thank from all my colleagues to this beautiful organization. So let's go on now. So 10 years in University of Ljubljana, a little bit more in University of Vienna, University of Bratislava, and Budapest. So I think we are pretty successful program. There is a lot of interest for the program. University of Vienna many years ago already started the full program just in English, and the interest for the program is really considerable. They normally get around 150 applications for 25 places. Probably this year a little bit less, I don't know, I don't have the recent data because of the pandemic, but most of these applications come from all over the world, not just from Austria. Because of our legislation, we cannot do our program fully in English, but still we get 60, 50, 60, up to 65 so far applications for 25 places just from Slovenian students. So it seemed to be a very requested and sought after program. It is seen as an optimal entry point for world's good PhD schools, so for continuation of research work. We have students at Oxford, at MIT, everywhere you can imagine, or I mean our alumni. In University of Vienna gave this program in 2013 teaching award for innovative approach to learning. And University of Ljubljana decided to put one of our integration modules to the before mentioned Utopia program. So we are now trying to even more develop one of our modules to fit into this new European initiative. So we gather it's a reasonably successful program. So I will use it. I will go now to interdisciplinarity more in general, but I will use the examples from our program to illustrate some points that I would like to make. I would like to, before we go on, do my last thank. I would like to thank the University of Ljubljana, which has been nothing but a really good host to our very complicated program. And I would like to ask our rector not to take too seriously, because I will do some criticism in the future of the organizational structures that I think goes on for every European university at this point. So before I start talking about what does it mean to have an interdisciplinary program, study program at the university in this day and age, I would like to do a little bit of disambiguation. I think we use these terms very loosely recently, or since ever, but recently they became quite important. You can read for the last 10 years that interdisciplinary is that all big questions of modern society are interdisciplinary or multidisciplinary or transdisciplinary. So I would like to just to note how I will use these terms. It's not a carved in stone terminology, but I'm going to use them like that. So I'm not going to use the term multidisciplinary. When I use it, I use it as a collaboration between two or more disciplines, where one discipline uses the knowledge of another discipline, but this another discipline does not benefit from that. So let's say we use statistics, or chemists can use some knowledge from physics, or medicine uses chemistry, for example. So I would call this multidisciplinary. But I will focus my attention to the next two levels, which I will call interdisciplinary and transdisciplinary. So interdisciplinary, to me, to how we use it within our program, means that participating disciplines complement each other and they benefit from this collaboration, all of them. So within cognitive science, I guess the best example would be collaboration between psychology and neuroscience, for example, or anthropology and psychology and so on, where, for example, you can then, the gained knowledge you can publish in psychological journals. Not so much in Europe, but in Anglo-Saxon word, psychology is already the synonym to neuropsychology, and of course to neuroscience journals. There are many examples of this level of disciplinary collaboration. And what is transdisciplinarity? Transdisciplinary is when a new field arises in the middle of the intersection or collaborational intersection. So cognitive science as whole is a good example of such a way of collaboration. I think ecology also, some parts of economy as well. And so what does it mean? I don't know how much you know about the history of cognitive science, but one of the legends, how it started, is that the movement of cybernetics in 40s invented ideas like a black box, informational processing, feedback loops. And then many disciplines noted that we can use these terms, these concepts, these mathematical formalisms to actually model, let's say, cognition on very different levels. Computer science can use these formalities, psychologists use this informational processing, neuroscience, and so on. So there was some field that was growing that was neither of these disciplines, but benefited all of them. And now recently we have another such example within cognitive science, which is Bayesian statistics. We have a huge field that's called Bayesian brain, where a very special kind of mathematics / statistics is used to model brains, to use it in AI, to use in psychology, and so on. So that would be a transdisciplinary. So this is how I'm going to use it. And sometimes I'm just going to use these higher levels, interdisciplinary and transdisciplinary, as a synonym. Okay, so now my thesis is as follows. I think, I hope I showed that in research, interdisciplinarity, let's call it a true interdisciplinarity, so not just talking between two disciplines, is a very special kind of animal. It demands very special kind of research setting and collaboration. And I would like to pose the thesis that the same goes for education. I don't think the educational programs that are truly interdisciplinary can be built and managed and taught in the same way as, let's say, mono or bi-disciplinary programs. So I would like to show with examples that in the level of teaching, organizing and facilitating and managing interdisciplinary programs, there are very considerable differences from other kinds of education. So I will use, as I announced, I will use examples from our study program. I think that we could find many other examples. So first, let's talk about teaching. I believe that interdisciplinarity in teaching requires dedicated integrative models. You cannot do teaching of interdisciplinarity just teaching all the disciplines involved. As you can see, our program has a sort of approximately 1/3 of the program are specially designed modules for integrating the knowledge students got from neuroscience, from psychology, from philosophy, and etc. And we sometimes call them self-help modules because students could get quite confused with all these different notions from all these different disciplines. So this integrative kernel, I think, is one of the necessary features of interdisciplinary or intersectorial education. Another thing that is not so well accepted with our students, but I think it's quite necessary, is emphasis on skills of collaborative work, which also then includes intercultural collaboration and communication and so on. I think this is also very important. And some of our students say, oh, this is a soft skill. We do just want to know about neuroscience or psychology and so on. But I think in future, this is the biggest token for future employability, to know how to gather different languages, I mean scientific languages or business languages, and how to make a collaboration within. So we put a lot of emphasis to this. Another aspect, organization level. So here I will use a couple of examples that are not so important. They are more on the funny side, but I would like to express, I think they illustrate what I want to tell quite well. So this is the cover page of one of our master's degrees. So you can see the title, Computer Modeling of the Influence of Natural Selection on Perceptual Veridicality. So the student tried to do the computer models that are called artificial life to see how likely it is that animals or humans' perception of the world has something to do with real contours of the world. So it's a computer science, it's biology, and it's philosophy, it's epistemology. And we gave him a Prešern prize for the masters within our faculty, and then it went to the university level. And at the university level, there are different groups. Prešern prize, it's a prize for a best master's degree at the University of Ljubljana, a very great tradition, I would say. And then there are like groups that evaluate the masters for the university Prešern prize. And of course, it was not clear to which group to put this masters. So at the end, it went to humanities group. And people said, yes, but this is computer modeling. This doesn't really. So it was sort of phased out. I think that the student was really happy already to get a faculty Prešern prize. So this is not a big thing. But I think it does illustrate that classical standard structures do not fit interdisciplinary, true interdisciplinary endeavors. Another more serious example is classification. Professor BORAS, how much time do I have still? I can't hear you. You're muted, so.
You have 3 minutes more.
Okay, okay, good. I will finish in 3 minutes. Thank you. So this is the example of classification scheme as our program was accredited, and you can see that I don't know if I can. No, I can move my cursor. We accredited equally in all the participating disciplines, which is medicine, psychology, philosophy, and so on. And that is how the program is accredited. But if you check the ministry database, you can only see the first. So according to ministry database, we are medicine, which is, again, so far we didn't encounter any problems with it because of that, but it is wrong. It is not what our program is about. So another thing is that using existing organizational structures normally does not fit interdisciplinary programs. Because you cannot just say, oh, you have 4 disciplines or 6 disciplines, then you will do everything 6 times fold, because all 6 faculties have to agree and so on, because it is unmanageable. So this has to be considered. I have some suggestions. I think when accrediting interdisciplinary programs, there must be some bottleneck, which lets through just a truly interdisciplinary programs. And I will tell what I mean truly interdisciplinary program is. But then I think there must be something to ease the work of these complex programs. Otherwise, it's just bureaucracy and you cannot actually dedicate your time to teaching. And a really good idea, I think, is a institutional program or way or mode of testing new research and education directions. So that you can test something before it's carved in stone, because before it's accredited. University of Vienna has a wonderful way of doing this. It's called platforms. When you can test the programs for 2 years, you get financing, and then you see whether it works, this complicated new idea works or not. So I think that's
Urban, just a few seconds more, please.
Okay, I am finishing with the last thing. I will skip all these examples. I would just like to say the third thing in the more facilitating and managing area is that I think a really good clue whether a program is going to succeed is an interdisciplinary program is going to succeed is if there is a person who will just do this integrational thing. If you just have like neuroscientists and psychologists, I don't think there will be anybody who will really stand up for this program. And this is a very personal thing, but I think I talk to my colleagues from States and from Europe, it always comes to one person that holds the whole complexity of interdisciplinarity together. So I will finish here. I am summarizing this in the conclusion. So I would just like to say, selecting and managing interdisciplinarity requires adaptation. And this adaptation of structures of teaching and so on can only be implemented if you really understand and if really go as boss of UNICA said before, if you in a philosophical way understand what interdisciplinarity means. I will finish here. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Urban. So we shall discuss and we shall have questions later. So I thank you, Urban, again. And now I invite Auli Tom from the Center of the University